the reason that I like having an open mic is because I feel that any festival really needs to have an open mic, because we get to share out to the community the poets whose voices that we appreciate as an organization. And then also we need to hear from the community at the same time. So we want to share poetry with you, and we want you to share your poetry with us. So I am the secretary for the board of directors for Poetry Center San Jose. I go by Mighty Mike McGee. Some of you may ask why, and it's because of the sheer volume of lasagna I am able to consume on my own. That is part of the reason why I go by Mighty. But also it was an email address, and it's all that was available, so I stuck with it. Good thing I didn't get Marshmallow Mike McGee, because that's what I'd be called now. So yes, I can, Jeff. I can outdo Garfield, I assure you. So thank you, Dee. That's very kind of you to say. The open mic list looks like it's about 17 people, and I'm going to read in order of the folks who signed up in the order they signed up. I'll be inserting friends into there, so it might not be the exact order, but you'll get the general idea. And I will let everyone know, as I always do, when I announce who's coming up, I will say, so-and-so is on deck, Poet A is on deck, but Poet B is coming up right now. So that way you have at least a one poet warning. Oh, that's good to know. We got... supposed to be Cottrill, but you don't correct people when they say Cottrill. Yeah, as it sounds classier. Yes, I'll try to remember to say your name, Jeff Cottrill. I'll try to say it in a British accent the whole time. All right. Anytime I say your name, I'll try to remember to say it in a British accent, and I will read everyone's actual names. All right. So we're going to hear from D. Allen, Imogen Arate, LKN, Michael Sindler, Indigo Pie, Jeff Cottrill, Kedar, Yashwant, Hardikar. I believe Kedar is going to be late, so I might have to move Kedar down toward the bottom of the list. Honey Kim, Zehra, Jay Martin, Damon, Anbui, Unmesh, Maggie Diamond, Dave Eisbach, Resurrection Mary, and Brian Franco. Brian Ira Franco. As Imogen Arate. Imogen Arate. Okay. Oh, cool. Kedar is here. Excellent. So now, everyone, you probably noticed that you're all muted and you can't unmute yourself. So when it is your turn to read, one of my lovely staff here is going to, my co-hosts are going to unmute you. They will search for you in the list and they will unmute you. We're going to, the way we're going to applaud for everyone, okay, thank you, Imogen. The way we're going to applaud for everybody is, we're going to give the ASL sign for applause, or you can snap your fingers, you can clap, but be visual, because what I'm going to recommend right now, I'm on Spotlight. So no one can, the camera's going to stay on me if you're watching from the speaker view. When I'm talking, if I'm on screen, I generally put it on the gallery view so I can see the grid of faces. Who's on the grid of faces right now? Who's looking at the grid of faces? A few of you. So when it's your turn to read, when it's your turn to present your poem, I recommend switching over to the gallery view so you can see everyone, so you have an audience in front of you. That's my favorite way to do it, for those of you who are new to doing it, this on Zoom. Otherwise, when it's your turn, one of the co-hosts will put the spotlight on you. They will unmute you and they will put the spotlight on you probably just before I finish introducing you. So again, we are recording. There are 48 people in the room right now. I'm so honored that you would all come and you'd be so willing to share your work. one of these days when we can go back into live venues and we can be in a coffee shop, I hope that you'll stick with us. I hope you'll sign up and become a member of Poetry Center San Jose and come to some more live events and be a part of the things that we're doing with poetry and literature here in the South Bay, in the Santa Clara Valley. Those of you who are not currently in the Santa Clara Valley, let us know. Let us know where you're zooming in from. We'd love to find out about how you found out about us, how you got here, and what you're going to do to make sure I get more lasagna in my life. So, because it's up to you, folks. It's up to you. Yes, Larry Hollist, I will put you on the list, but it's going to be toward the end. I hope that's all right. Excellent. So again, we can put the list back in. We now have 18 responses for the open mic. We got to get things going because there's a lot of us to read stuff. I'm excited. The San Jose Poetry Festival 2020 is presented by Poetry Center San Jose and is sponsored in part by Festival and Cultural Affairs grants from the City of San Jose, a grant from SV Creates in partnership with the County of Santa Clara and the California Arts Council, funding from poets and writers, and with support from Ann and Mark's Art Party and the Center for Literary Arts. We would like to acknowledge and offer our deepest gratitude to our originally booked live venues. These were the places where we were supposed to be holding the San Jose Poetry Festival this year, and we obviously could not do it. So we'd still like to thank them for being available to us originally, and that was Art Boutique, Books Inc., Caravan Lounge, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Library, Forager, History San Jose, Recycle Bookstore, and Works San Jose Art and Performance Center, and to our membership who have helped us make this event possible and all of our events in the past as well. This is the 6th annual San Jose Poetry Festival. This is night 3, and we've had such a good time so far. I never thought I'd have this much fun looking at a whole bunch of people on a computer. Delightful, and I'm so glad that you're all here tonight. We have been doing a Q&A toward the end of the evening, and the only thing I can think of is if we were to do a Q&A at the end of this evening, it would be for you guys to ask me questions about gardening, and lasagna. So that is entirely up to you. For more information about future events, please visit and bookmark pcsj.org. That is also where you can go to get a membership. That is also where you can go to find out more about the San Jose Poetry Festival events that are coming up. And we have events throughout the rest of the year on Zoom at the moment. And we're keeping poetry warm so that when we get back into venues, it's ready for us to consume again live. I look forward to the day where we can all be in the same room reading poetry and supporting each other. Tomorrow night is one of our big main events. It's sort of the keynote event of the festival, and that's with former U.S. Poet Laureate Juan Felipe Herrera. Will be performing along with the former Santa Clara County Poet Laureate Arlene Biala and the current Santa Clara County Poet Laureate Janice Lobo Sapigao. We are super honored to have all 3 of them performing for us tomorrow night right here on Zoom. So if you want more information, you can find those tickets at pcsj.org/festival. And you just have to scroll down and you'll find which ticket you want. But other than that, I would like to share a poem with all of you before we get going. And this is one that means a lot to me, and I think if I'm going to read any poem, this really should be the poem that I sort of start an open mic with. And this one was a number of folks here have heard this before, so I'm just going to say you're welcome for getting to hear it again. This is called Ode to the Delightful Hearts of the Valley, and this is after Julia Chang's mural at the San Jose Museum of Art. Called In the Valley of Heart's Delight. And I performed this at the 10th annual San Jose Museum of Art's Poetry Invitational in 2019. And this is my ode to the Santa Clara Valley. From this basin, between these ranges of hills, made for feet and hooves. I've seen the sun at every angle, at every moment of the day. I've seen moon rise up from every possible hill. This goes to impossible beauties, even when I was unprepared with eyes closed or overtly selfish and unblinking. In my time here under the newest trees, in this land of graveyard orchards and industries that fed 3 generations of my people, keeping my mom and her mom struggling to keep us from struggling, I have worked for a paycheck at every hour of the day. In all of the seconds that come in a year, there are none I have yet to laugh in. This goes to those who've made me laugh. In every city this valley cradles. This goes to a family that taught me that to worry less about money and to make laughter instead. I miss the folks, sunrise set, protectors of the block, guardians of bookshelves on 2nd and Empire, 6th and San Salvador, 5th and Julian, all the way north 1st Street. Maybe I was the mayor of Alviso, all 9 acres, the love child of Sunnyvale and Santa Clara, Campbell's loitering layabout. I could write odes to my crush on Milpitas. And Los Gatos, I've heard of you. This goes to the protectors of Nancy Lane and the East Side. I still worry about you. To the living history at Alum Rock and King, to the cherry blossoms in Japantown, to midnight at the Midtown Safeway, to leaving and always coming back here, to the children who will find love in this valley, in between falling into industry and their own children and struggle and a balance. Like our 4 impossible seasons, light summer, summer, autumn, and extreme autumn. This goes to the valley I hope to die in. This goes to the streets in all of our cities and to the people who use them to get somewhere, but especially to those who the streets got to first, to those who push everything they own in front of them and yet have nothing to speak of. This too is for you. This goes to the valley that I hope to die in. If only this body would generate enough ash to cover all the streets I've lived on. There is no perfection in perpetuity. Even a noble ancient industry of fruits and vegetables will be paved over for something easier. But the sun shines brighter here to see the impossible beauties. They come in glimpses, sometimes in a breeze of mock orange blossoms, or in how our motherboards help us put together the right combination of emojis to let the best person we know how much we love them, or how we love orange sauce, laughter, sunlight, and whatever us is. This is for the thousands of seconds we've spent together here, yesterday and tonight. Thank you all. Thank you for filling this valley with your delightful hearts. Thank you. Oh yeah, poetry. What? Dang. That's always that. I always love reading that one. I really enjoy putting that one out there. And you know, it really is like I love this place so much. Lately, you know, it's a little orangey. But I gotta love it through the orange too. You know, you gotta love it. Gotta love it in its state, whatever state it's in. You know, otherwise you can't really truly appreciate its best points. You know, and we're all still here. You're here. I'm here. So without any further ado, I'm going to ask. If Jarvis Subia is ready to be one of the first friends to go up. I'm going to call up maybe our first 2 open micers, and then I'm going to ask Jarvis to read a couple of poems. So in order, our first 2 open micers will be, where did they go? Oh, it'll be D. Allen and Imogen Arate. Then we will hear from Jarvis, if Jarvis is cool with that. So so Imogen, you're on deck. D is coming up right now. Is D ready? Where are you at, D? Do we have D, Allen?
I'm here.
Yeah! Woo! D. How are you doing, D?
I'm doing all right, and this is like my first time participating in the San José Poetry Festival.
Woohoo! Mine too. Mine too. I look forward to whatever you're going to share with us. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and your time is yours.
All right. Okay, allow me to introduce myself to y'all who are new to this. I'm D. Allen from Oakland, California, and given the 3-minute time limit that I'm given, I'm only going to do one poem. And that one poem comes from my new and 5th poetry book, Eloi Onichi, Poems, 2013 to 2018. From page 24 and 25 in the book, this is called Washaquone, based on actual people and events. Many who had hiked through Canadian wilderness a century ago took notice of a bird in flight, a rare one-day ojibwa called Washaquone, he who flies by night. At once a hunter, a guide, a trapper, a living made from the furs in his sight, a rare one-day ojibwa called Washaquone, he who flies by night. Into his forest lair he gave shelter to a pair of beavers and a female pony, beautiful, willful, contrite. A rare one-day ojibwa called Washaquone, he who flies by night. He recorded every caper into pages of paper, turned articles and books. Thousands read his every insight. A rare one-day ojibwa called Washaquone, he who flies by night. He took bold strides to speak for trees and wildlives. Nature's preservation from devastation became his plight. A rare one-day ojibwa called Washaquone, he who flies by night. Then he traveled to an evening powwow where he shone native chiefs how. He embraced their ways, mastered their sacred dances by firelight. A rare one-day ojibwa called Washaquone, he who flies by night. In Canada and England, news is spread. One day at home, he was suddenly dead. His secrets out, the Red Indian was English and white. A rare one-day ojibwa called Washaquone, he who flew by night. But never mind the buckskins, the feather headdress, the moccasins, or false tales about his past every slight. A rare one-day ojibwa called Washaquone, he who flew by night. His other steps were true after all, preventing ecology's steady fall. What mattered was the nature of his fight. A rare one-day ojibwa called Washaquone, he who flew by night. And that poem was called Washaquone, written on Canadian Aboriginal Day 2014. Written in memory of Archibald Delaney, better known to the world as Grey Owl, 1888 to 1938. In memory of the real Washaquone, rest in peace. And that came from my new book, Eloi Onichi, now available from Conviction to Change Publishing. From this computer mic to yo ears, I'm D. Allen. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, D. That was fantastic. I really appreciate that. D, I highly recommend that you put a link to your book in the chat. Folks, those of you reading this evening, go for it. Just if you got something that you want to mention in the chat, especially regarding the poems that you're reading tonight, or if you have a publication that's coming out or an event that's coming up, please add a link to the chat. And then toward the end of the evening, before you leave, I highly recommend that if you go into the chat, you'll see in the chat box, you'll see 3 little dots. Click on that, and that'll give you an option to save chat. And you can save it on your computer as a text file, and then you'll have all of those links on your computer from tonight's event. And you'll also get to see, I recommend that if you've read tonight, go in and see what people, maybe people might be commenting on your poem. It's a good opportunity to see what people are saying about you and your work. And maybe if I could get one of my co-hosts, that when a name comes up, that maybe we type the name in saying who is up, so that people can see their name. And then all the comments after that will be regarding said person who's reading in the moment. So Everyone, as you'll notice, because we now have nearly 50 people in this Zoom, which is incredible. I thank you all for being here. I want to take this time to remind you this event is being recorded. So if you do not want to appear on camera, please go ahead and shut off your camera for the event. You are muted and you cannot unmute yourself because we want to make sure that the event is relatively noise-free so that no one is interrupted during their poem. There might be moments where I unmute everyone so that we can clap, so that we can applaud in real life, because sometimes we need that. We might need a little applause break so that everyone can just sort of be heard and let it out, you know. So that'll come up eventually. But then I would also like to take this time to thank Rob Pesich, our president of PCSJ, and Bill Cazzini of PCSJ, our treasurer, for the work that they've done behind the scenes in making this happen. And I would also really love to thank Julia Canavesi. Julia has been just a tireless volunteer in making this happen here. So much of the promotion that you've seen that has gone out, a lot of the reason you even know this event is happening is thanks to the work that Julia has done. She started working on the 2020 Poetry Festival back in the 70s, y'all. Back in the 1970s. That's how dedicated she is. All right. I know. But the last person I want to thank specifically from my heart to their heart, through all of our hearts in some sort of weird passageway, I want to thank Dave Eisbach. Dave deserves as much gratitude as we can possibly get. He's the gentleman on screen who looks like he maybe tie a bunch of balloons to his house. You know, potentially. He is the reason, he's the catalyst. The reason that we even have a San Jose Poetry Festival is because of Dave's brilliant thinking and planning for the very first one. And we would not be here if it weren't for Dave Eisbach. We wouldn't be doing this if he hadn't set the trend for us to keep something like this going. San Jose needs it, and we need it. And so we're all very glad that you're here, but I am especially glad that Dave is here with us, watching and listening. And he is also signed up to share a poem tonight. So when it's his turn to come up, we're going to make a whole bunch of noise for Dave Eisbach, but we got a little time to wait. We got a little bit of time to wait. So, okay. Woo. The best poem I've ever written right there. Coming up, we've got, let's see. So Jarvis is on deck. But coming up right now, please put your hands together for Imogen Arate. Imogen Arate. Woo!
Thank you. And thank you, Mike. So my name is Imogen Arate. I'm going to read this poem called Self-Destructive. A running roll call, ever extending, massacres stem from fatal encounters, executions followed by exonerations. The news now comes in steel casings to disguise an ingrained fear over melanin finely tuned to fit us for our ancestral homes as we spread to explore the world now used to calibrate every excuse. Because we've never left the farm. Our memory faulty, we keep amending the meaning of reasonable doubt with a now encyclopedic list for stripping life from our fellow citizens and lash abuse upon the deceased, bound by death, they can no longer resist. Though we rise up to say their names, seeing clearer with every injustice that what went awry has never been fixed, and a pigment continues to be leveraged by those seeking to dominate with minds dogged by disproven eugenic prophecies, spoon-fed in every bigoted social policy, hacking away at our common link in denial that we've been stealing from our own better future by divesting from our fellow brethren, thinking we are stopping a theft from shared coffers when we're robbing our lives of their brilliance. Now buried in lead, insults, anguish, and tears, banished before they can reach each shine from potential, because fear prejudiced our eyes to only see danger and forced into shape one form, the countless myriad. So again, my name is Imogen Arate. I'm the host of Poets and Muses, which is a weekly poetry podcast where I chat with poets about their inspirations. I'm going to put my links in the chat for you guys. Thank you very much for listening.
Woo-hoo! Thank you so much, Imogen. That was fantastic. That was great. I really appreciate that. And yes, please do put your link in the chat. I think that folks would definitely like to go and check that out. I don't know about all of you, but I'm subscribed to about 65 podcasts right now. So it seems, you know, and so I go and I'll listen to like the first 60 seconds. And if it doesn't sound like lasagna, I don't listen all the way through, you know, so it's just, you know, it's just the way it is. So what I'm going to do now, the list we may add to the list, but the current list as it stands, I'm going to put in the chat so that folks know where we're at. And if it says 2 in front of the name, that means that that person is signed up, that I've given them the, they're one of the friends that I've asked to read more than one poem. So there's the list. You'll see the 2s in front of the all caps name. I also don't want to cover up Bill Cazzini's thank you to Imogen. So that's before the list, but KN, is Jarvis ready? Jarvis, are you ready to do this? You ready to spit some poetry? Look at you. What a gorgeous human being. Oh my gosh. We're so lucky. Folks, please give a warm round of applause to a dear friend of mine who's been doing poetry since about the same time that Julia has been promoting this event. Sometime in the 70s, I think, is when Jarvis started reading poetry. Folks, please give a nice warm round of applause to Jarvis Subia.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm really excited to be here because there's been a lot of movement in the week for me. And during this pandemic, poetry has not been a priority, but I'm trying to recenter it and bring it back. I'm currently, just to let you guys know where I'm at, I'm currently taking on a very daunting task of trying to digitize probably somewhere around 8 to 9 decades worth of photos and videos from my family, because this is how I move through things. And so tonight's poems, just to kind of let y'all know, my grandfather passed this week, and it's been something me and my family have been moving through. He was the last of my grandparents to transition. And I'm gonna read 2 poems where I name him in there. And probably the only 2 poems I have that I name him. And so, and then I might maybe squeeze in one more. So I'm gonna read those. The first time I ever met somebody who shared, I was already 22 years into my solitary, epithetless life. His name was Jarvis. He was 5 years old, and to nobody's surprise, he was really freaked out this grown man was so excited to meet him. That thought crossed my mind as the Pete's Coffee barista stares me down the barrel of her nose, and with all of the confidence of a white woman selling fair trade coffee from ethnic third world countries, slow drips a more palatable title from my cup. Says, "Your name is Travis, right?" And by now, I've already lost count of the number of times somebody has taken my name into their mouth and spit out the bones of who they want me to be. I am always dead in this scenario. There is no version of colonization where the mixed boy gets to make it out whole. When asked of my name's origin, my father tells me I was named after a star NCAA running back. Most of my students go, wait, Iron Man, right? But it's my grandmother, A woman who does not feel the need to sacrifice her tongue for this flag. I think she's got it the closest. Often mixes up Jarvis with the English translation for garbage and calls me basura. True story, I've stopped correcting her. Because the truth is, if you Google search it, Jarvis actually comes from Nordic descent, comes from Gervais, means the servant spear, and a name given to loyal warriors who served the purpose of the empire. More digging will lead to British surnames who sell to my people's land on the backs of slave ships. And, ooh, my people's land, dang, just dropped the poem. Look at that. I'm picking it back up. Back to slave ships. Ooh, I was just reading this poem today. Y'all know U.S. history got a funny way of naming itself, often calls oligarchy, democracy, labor, enslavement, post-racial, 13th Amendment, lineage. How many of my family learned to run or fight? But it's my grandfather, y'all. My grandfather, Elia, who we call Alexander and his wife calls Alejandro, tells me he still has vivid memories as a boy of U.S. naval planes flying overhead towards Pearl Harbor. Reminds me how this country turned a people marginal, their land monetary, then war zone, then united, how they never wanted to name us until there was something worth taking. I'm continued and being reminded of the duality of being both ethnic and American, of being both claimed and reclaiming, of Brown Berets, Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, and King Kamehameha, and Queen Leleokalani, and James Cook's head piked against the ocean. We have called ourselves resistance for so long, it runs in our blood. My name is mine, and I do not wish to give it back. But I am learning to sharpen my edges and serve the people, to fight for what is inherently ours, to learn our names as what you can no longer take from us. That's the first poem. Thank you. I love these silent claps. This next one I'm going to read. This one is titled, I have two poems titled Notes from the Garden. This is version 2 of that. Today, I trimmed the tomatoes, watered the strawberries, pickled the cucumbers, vinegar and salted. Today, I'm preparing for a bounty. We planted a garden here, where there was only clay and rock and weed and dirt. As a child, my family was so poor I only ever rolled in the mud, never frolicked in the grass, only dreamed of meadows, sinking my toes under the earth. A seed will always do better buried. How my need to sprout through is what always motivated me forward. Past my peers lounging on gifted lawns. Oh, hair, how income is time's tortoise. Says, keep running, sprout. Green will always beat you in the end. Makes all of my bones and those inherited bones a shield. We bury our dead, full well knowing one day too they will become a garden, full well knowing that I dug my hands into this soil and became my ancestors' wildest dream. I build plant containers and buy my compost. My grandfather and his father and his father and his father all cut the sugarcane in Hawaii, forgot the Caribbean island they buried their father's bones in, while my 6-year-old niece tells me she does not own a memory without foliage. And somewhere today, I pour the blue Miracle Grow into a watering can, and I prepare for spring. And if it's okay, I have one more kind of short poem to read. Okay. I don't even think, sometimes you write these poems and you forget about them. And then I forgot I wrote this and I've been circling back to it, not realizing it's a poem I needed. So this poem is titled, A Guide for Breaking Through the Night into Morning. A flower will always know it's time to wake when the light offers a feast, glowing like the thin lake brushed over each leaf and falling to puddle the ripe soil underneath. Thick with the breakdown, your environment should provide all your needs to build yourself. A family knows it's Sunday when Otis Redding is spilling from the stereo, and seeds a home in everyone's chest. When I am in the garden, I am singing Whitney and Gloria. I wipe my brow with the same muddy hand I grabbed the mic with. I become mad with mystery in discovering what becomes of each new room I build for myself. Misshapen temple, abandoned holy land of dirt and little. Hold me here with a shovel and a watering can, ready to dig my hands up through the clay and into daylight. Thank you all for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm excited to hear more poems. I love
Jarvis. Oh, Jarvis. Right here, bud. Right here. You really you bring a love verbally to the ears of everybody who needs it, and it means the world to me. It really does. I am saddened by your loss, but at the same time, I know that he was loved and he loved you. Like, there's no doubt. I love you very much, and I'm glad you're here with us tonight. Okay. Everyone just breathe in, hold it for a second, and let it out. Do that 28 more times, right? There are a number of messages in here for Jarvis. Just love for Jarvis. You lucky person. Let's see. On deck, we've got Michael Sindler, but coming up right now, we have LKN. LKN, are you ready? Are you ready?
Absolutely.
LK. Yeah.
Awesome.
Woohoo. All right. The mic is yours.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you to San José Poetry Festival for having this platform. And I am Lakan, or LKN. I'm a poet from Manila, the Philippines. And yes, it is 10:49 a.m. here. And I'm a page performance and slam poet, but I'm also a street performer in the Philippines, in Hong Kong, also in Singapore. And I was so affected by Mike's poem earlier that I want to do an impromptu poem right now on behalf of all the street performers in the world. We are the shunned seconds right under the mid-street when everyone single glinting seems to be passing by, like minutes were gonna be like ticking tock, in reverse, again and again and again, while we show ourselves, our souls spilling on the little crevices of the streets. We sing, we paint, we dance, we share our words like it was gonna be time continuing every single time, stopping when we say stop, no, pause. I am here, I exist. Although my poems, my music, my painting, my choreography, it's all out there for the world to see, to be viewed, I share because this is who I am. This is not for money, that cent being laden down, and every single time that those hands would tell me that I am here. I am here because I love my art. I love my soul expressed. I love that every single time that I take this stage, this huge running stage with chapters and pages running through all of them, I say to life that there is more, that there is more to this, because me drive every single period to turn into commas, to ellipses that will go on and on and on, because this is what poetry is. It gets passed on, even in a side note of a screen, a chat is all it takes for us to breathe. So breathe, breathe, my brothers, my sisters of the streets. I tell you, once again, we will see each other and we will sing, we will have our poems, we will paint, we will dance, we will act again. But for now, breathe. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakan. Thank you so much. Did you say you are currently in Manila?
Yes, I am.
And what time is it there right now?
It's 10:52 a.m.
So it's Friday morning for you right now.
It is Friday morning.
Woo-hoo! Yay! I'm honored. I think of us are honored that you would be here with us today. It was really lovely to hear that piece, and knowing I know so many dozens and dozens of street performers, and I feel like that is such a good sort of not motto. What's the word I'm looking for? An ode, a true ode to the street performer. And I think that was just really beautiful. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate you. I'm so glad you were here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another silent round of applause for Lacan. No, you know what? Let's unmute. Let's unmute. Everyone be on your best behavior. But we're gonna go ahead and cheer on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Yay! All the way from moment. All right, now I'm going to mute everybody again. Bye, everybody. And now I am the only one who can be heard. That's silly. Anyhow. Where did that list go? Oh, there it is. On deck, we have Indigo Pie. But right now, please welcome Michael Sindler, everybody. Michael Sindler, hello. How are you, Michael?
Hello, everybody. I tell you, this tiny little circle of poets all around the world is such a cool thing. And I tell you, I always enjoy hearing Lacan stuff. So it's great that he's here. This is a little different take on the streets. This is called His Alley. It was his alley now. It had been others through the ages, but now it was his. He knew every square inch of it better than a gardener knows their lawn. He knew which backdoor stoops office workers left the best, longest butts at after smoke breaks. He knew which dumpsters contained the most aluminum for recycling and the least contaminated, freshest food tossed as garbage. He knew every pothole in the puckered tarmac well enough never to misstep even on the darkest night. He knew which exhaust fans were warmest and best to huddle in front of on cold nights when icicles hung from the enclosed bridges above his head. He knew the crevasses and blind barriers best to hide in when the wilder, meaner sorts came through to tag with paint or torment to sport. He knew the best archways, doorways, stoops, steps, and grates to make his bed on, places where the daylight was minimal, for sleeping at night was to court disaster, and cops didn't bother with. He knew which drains and grates to pee or let loose his bowels above and into. He knew the windows he could peer through to attract the attention of kind busboys and dishwashers who would slip him an odd hot bit of sustenance. He knew where not to linger for fear of some apartment owner's wrath. He knew which feral dogs would bite as they sniffed about his high-walled open-air abode. He knew the types and names of every bird, insect, and mammal sharing space and cast-off crumbs and rotting garbage and weathered perches of stone, brick, and metal, cracks in walls, sills, wires, and tufts of weeds and grasses. This was his alley. And though he might venture away to panhandle for change or smokes, get a shower and a meal at a sheltered church or mission, it was here he returned to faithfully, and with less fright and sense of failure weighing on him, spend hour after hour counting bricks and watching condensation drip like some special slow-down fountain put there for his solitary pleasure. It was his alley. And it was there he was found, arms akimbo, frozen to the asphalt, his last breath having left, his very being eaten, gnawed by cats and rats enjoying a rare feast. It was his alley. And even now, it still remains his in ways. His meager bag of clothes and books is ripped and its contents scattered throughout the block. the stains of years of urination of patinaed metal, his attempts to undo or avoid desperate boredom, leaving small piles of stacked and strategically placed tiny monuments of gravel and stones, nicked from planter boxes, gardens, or construction sites. Some cooks and delivery drivers laugh and swear they still hear his humming, cackling laughter and his buzzsaw snoring late at night, but they're in fact speaking just to spook new hires. Though by doing so, they keep a memory alive, a history of a nearly forgotten, forlorn soul that made this alley his final home, in this place to live and die alone, a place that with no deed or title he could still call his own. This was his alley. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate it. I know there are places. For the rest of my life, Chico, California will always be the place where my friend Kyle went to live out the rest of his life. You know, it's interesting to me how certain places and certain spaces will always evoke a certain person. But that was wonderful, and I appreciate it. I'm so glad you were here with us tonight. Let's see, on deck, we have Brandon Liu, who's going to read 2 poems. But coming up right now, please give a warm welcome for Indigo Pie, everyone. Indigo, hello.
Hi, everybody. Morning. My name is Indigo Pie, and I am also in the Philippines. It is currently 10:59 on Friday morning. So, because I only have 3 minutes, I'm going to read a short poem. September 10 is World Suicide Prevention Day, and that's something very close to my heart for many reasons. And also, I'm a big fan of just letting people enjoy things. So this poem is called Love Notes from the Ledge. It's not wrong to stay alive for the next album or song, for the next episode, for the next season. If it matters to you, that's all that matters. It's not wrong to stay alive, to keep reading that fanfic and find out if they were roommates all along. To play the game through, beat the final boss, save the princess from Bowser. If it matters to you, that's all that matters. It's not wrong to stay alive. No reason is insignificant if it keeps you going. If it matters to you, that is all that matters. No reason is insignificant if it keeps you going. Apple pie, the smell of a new book when you finally save enough money to buy it, the smile from the look your crush gives you from across the hall, even if you can't talk to him yet. If it keeps you going, it's not trivial. And that's all you got to head on to. No reason is insignificant if it keeps you going. So stay alive. Because at the end of the day, you will always, always have another morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Indigo. Thank you very, very much. I think now is a very good time for us to remind each other that there are so many reasons to keep on going, right? That was wonderful, and to have 2 poets from the Philippines, honor, truly. I'm just kind of smitten with everything happening right now. I really am. Let's see, on deck, we've got Jeff, yes, we've got Jeff Cottrill. Jeff Cottrill is on deck, but coming up, please welcome Brandon Liu. Brandon Liu, how are you?
I'm doing well. Well, as well as can be when the sky is orange, but you know how it is. All right, 2 poems. The first one is untitled because I think it could still be tweaked here and there, but I do want to read it. I finally found that old road I'd been looking for. The one I'd nearly forgotten about, where I had run the length of the hill sideways, long above the angle of the setting sun that hangs above the city below, where you could swear it was a monkey howling and not a rooster, a flock of roosters howling in the late afternoon, in this thinning farmland, not forest, not jungle, where there are no landmines, and the heartbeat catching in your throat is not from fear of a bullet in the thicket, but a mountain lion's footsteps gnawing at your mind, before the sudden sound of a small dog barking behind you from a gated fence throws you 3 feet in the air that might as well have been 30 meters off the side of a cliff, into dark waters, into rising tide, into the unknown washing above your head. Monsoon season again. It is not dry salt against your brow, only sweat high on your back. The ocean is far away from you now. It is time to go home again, and the road can only be a memory, cresting like the waves. So that's the first one. The second one was written, there's a large gap of time since I saw Tyhimba Jess read in San Jose, but he had this very cool infinite poem from his book Olio, which I got some inspiration from. This one is called Domestic Still Life. A rat, a dirty armchair, empty bottles on the ground, peanut shells and tortilla dust scattered everywhere, left over, takeout, half eaten on the coffee table, slices of cheap sashimi and octopus legs soaking in soy sauce, a puddle leaking from a beer bottle, an ashtray thrown in the corner, outside a mosquito, a cockroach at the door, a light bulb flickering in the dark, a spider, a web, a cry in the night, a wife beater hanging in the wind. A rat, empty bottles, peanut shells and scattered everywhere, takeout, half-eaten slices of cheap sashimi, soaking, a puddle, a beer bottle, thrown outside, a cockroach, a light bulb in the dark, a web in the night, hanging, a dirty armchair on the ground, tortilla dust left over on the coffee table, and octopus legs in soy sauce leaking from an ashtray in the corner, a mosquito at the door flickering, a spider, a cry, a wife beater in the wind. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. You paint some really, really fascinating imagery. But I'm also not surprised because you're an incredible writer, truly. Folks, I'm putting a link in the chat for tomorrow night, directly underneath Arlene Biala's comment. Tomorrow night, Juan Felipe Herrera, Arlene Biala, and Janice Lobo-Sapigao will be performing for around the same time slot here for the San José Poetry Festival. So if you would like to see 3 poets laureate perform incredible work, if you want to be inspired tomorrow night, then if you want to continue the inspiration, then please join us tomorrow evening. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you again, Brandon. I can't wait to read a big fat manuscript from you someday. On deck, we have, I hope I'm saying this right, Kedar, Yashwant, Hardikar is on deck. But coming up right now, please welcome Jeff Cottrill. Yes, Jeff Cottrill. Hello, Jeff. How are you?
There's my big face. Look up in the sky. No, not the sky. In the coffee shop, sitting at the corner table, alone, scrolling down his cell phone with 2 days' growth of beard and a milk stain on his pants. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it a dog? Is it a waffle iron? Is it a shoe? No, it's Adequate Man. Adequate Man. Faster than a speeding hamster. More powerful than a toddler. Able to leap over a tall chicken in a single bound. Adequate Man. When travels home and reads about it on the internet. When faced with injustice, does he lie down? No, he sits and tells others on social media to do something. When people are needy, does he neglect them? No, he donates $5 to the cause if it's tax deductible. When trash needs to be taken out, when dishes need to be dried, when the dog needs to be walked, he does it. Whatever the crisis, whatever the threat, citizens know they can call on him for the bare minimum. Tremble before the powers of Adequate Man. His 20/20 vision, his average physical strength, his ability to melt steel with the help of welding equipment, his bachelor's degree in environmental studies, his office data entry job, the force of which has allowed him to pay off part of his student loan, his capability of viewing an entire Netflix series in one binge, his gift for devouring 6 pizza slices in one meal. Watch Adequate Man, and you will believe a man can fly, provided that he makes the airport gate on time. Feel the wrath of the mortal enemies of Adequate Man. The landlord who keeps reminding him the rent is late. The neighborhood tabby cat who triggers his allergies. The cute, perky ex who just wants to be friends now. The messy, filthy apartment that still refuses to clean itself. And his ultimate nemesis, the Joker. Specifically, his old high school acquaintance, Bob, who now works in upper management at the same company. Oh, the laughter, the crazed, mocking laughter. One day, Bob, you will get yours. And so, citizens, the next time you need a hero who can help you rake your leaves, or give you a lift to the airport, or take money at the door at your next poetry event, you know who to look for. Look, over there, smoking behind the 7-Eleven. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it a fidget spinner? Is it a ladle? Is it a bidet? Is it a jack-in-the-box? Is it a tooth grill? Is it a toast rack? Is it a mattress tag that reads, "Do not remove"? No, it's Adequate Man, master of mediocrity, the quintessential hero of our times. That was Adequate Man. Thank you.
Woo! An actual cheer, right? 3, 2, 1, go!
Yeah, that was adequate for you.
Really adequate.
Very adequate poem, my friend. Very adequate poem. Jeff, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's good. The timing was perfect. I feel like the 1-2, the 1-2 punch of Brandon Liu's, heavy pieces, and then a little bit of levity to follow. What timing? Like, the universe made that possible. We needed both, and we got both. So that's really wonderful. Okay. No, Brandon Liu. You're not always heavy, but you are in the right degrees at the right times. It's wonderful. You should hear some of my heaviest poetry, like where I talk about like 65-pound pans of lasagna. So very heavy, very heavy. You've got nothing to worry about. Oh my gosh. I'm having such a lovely time here, folks. Honey Kim, you are on deck. Honey Kim is on deck, but coming up right now is Kedar, Yashwant, Hardikar ready? Am I saying that? I feel as though I'm going to get a massive correction on the pronunciation of your name.
No, that pronunciation was right on.
Oh, yeah. Woo-hoo-hoo. Well, the mic is yours, Kedar. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I would like to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity. I am going to present a poem from what I call an experiment in poetry. This started in my mother tongue. I've been writing poetry in my mother tongue, but this is a different kind of poetry where I'm appealing to emotions and drawing parallels with life experiences from mathematical objects. And this is a mathematical poetry, and I'm writing that in English now, and it will be out in a couple of weeks as a book. So hopefully you can connect to the parallels. So I'm using one of the simpler objects that we all will connect to. The title of the poem is The Circle. Here you go. I remember that night with showers and thunder. While getting in shape, a circle had fallen in love with its center. Lightning in the sky had struck with some jest, for meeting of the soulmates was indeed an incredible quest. Round and round the circle had wandered, crossing of the radius was a problem it pondered. A crisis of identity had struck at the core. It wanted to know about its origin some more. An element of doubt was corroding the purity. Was many circles for one center a sign of promiscuity? Why would the center love me? It wondered at last. Is this my destiny? The thought had now crossed. Well, I had some choices in my incarnation. Parabola, hyperbola, and ellipse were certainly my options. Ellipses of sorts had paused its thoughts. For being an ellipse, two foci would bring two lovers, it thought. Being a parabola sounded almost like a tragedy, for part of itself would have to be sent to infinity. After all, it thought, we were born as conic sections. This is a reference to all these curls coming out of cutting of cones. After all, it thought, we were born as conic sections. In our birth were written several imperfections. Showers and thunder had now soaked to its core. Connection of soulmates needed, radii no more. The night of enlightenment had brought harmony of hearts. Both of them decided to give up their parts. The barrier of radius the circle had thrown, to embrace its circle, the center had grown. Losing one's identity was the path love had shown. That's the circle, and since I have a little bit of more time, I'm going to present one smaller one, if it is okay. Is that okay? The title of the poem is The Lines. Theorems and proofs and lemmas and riders. In the army of geometry, I was looking for insiders. Barely had I learned to speak to the point. The teacher then said, a line is nothing but points adjoined. With passing of the day, the class had worsened. The burden of the proof was now placed on the innocent. Measure straight along the ground, claimed the geometry, while it seemed to me that this claim was outright bigotry. Along the very ground, my mind had drawn it right. It traveled around the earth and returned to the original site. The hoax of a straight line was caught in plain sight. The teacher and her torture were about to lose this fight. I stood by my guard and asked her a simple question. I said, before wasting time, let us clear up our perception. Burden of the proof should lie with the guilty. The notion of a straight line seems incredibly faulty. Draw it out straight, and here is what I have found. Traveling along such a thing, you will certainly lose your ground. Enjoy your flight in space, and here is where you lose this race. Since everything is moving in space, first tell me, where is your base? That night I had won. That night I had won and seemingly conquered the lines. He who bends the world to his will shall be the one who shines. Years later, with a mind serene and calm, it dawned upon me that they had caused some measurable harm. All along, quietly sitting on the face of my palm. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kedar. I appreciate it. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
How did you find us?
I found you guys on Google search. I have not written English poetry much. I have mostly written poems in my mother tongue. I published a book in my mother tongue where I carried out this experiment as a section of the book. And people who appreciated this experiment conveyed to me that it will have a broader appeal if it is written in English. And I am a faculty member as well as a Google employee. I teach students mathematics, heat transfer, different science subjects. And this is something that I experimented with. It has been appreciated. So now I was encouraged to write it in English and get it out as a book. Hopefully it will come out in 2 to 3 weeks from now. I'm looking forward to it.
That's amazing. And what is your native language?
My native language is Marathi. I'm from a region near Mumbai.
So as part of the live open mic that I used to run, we asked people to read in their mother tongue as often as they could. And so I think we've collected, I want to say about 22 languages have been read at the original open mic. And it's not as common anymore online, but it's, to me, I think it's very important for people to share their feelings in their natural language, in their native language, because that's where it's going to be the most honest, and that's where it's going to be the most direct, right? Maybe you'll join us in the future. Are you in the Bay Area?
Yes, I'm in the Bay Area.
Stick with us, and please, we'll invite you to some more stuff, and we'd love to hear what you have to say in any language you choose.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kedar. All right, folks, let's see. On deck, we've got Amanda Borges, but right now we are going to welcome Honey Kim. Honey Kim, hello.
Hi, everybody. I am so blown away by everyone's creative poems. It's amazing to listen to, and I'm having such a great time. So I'm Honey. Most of my poems are just kind of abstract rambling. So the one I'm reading today is kind of about loneliness and feeling like a terrible person and wanting other people to be just as terrible, so you feel like a connection. So that is the theme of my poem. It is called Clarity. When I wake up tomorrow, I wish only to be prolific, ceasing to write NaNoWriMo trash while litty on pet pills. I long to be core brilliance, piercing through smashing ocean waves, titillating in grime-caked realness, akin to sea quilty's lawless shit sins. I'd laugh as the light above kept you grasping with childlike hope, my stories swarming and leeching off of your sopping devastation. Delicious. The sun teasing as it smirks and lusters atop us, or could it be that it's the night? Just say that you'll come in, my delightful Mirai design companion. I promise to catch you when you stop thrashing, and you must feel it too. Your widened eyes and gaping mouth drifting past my ravenous lips. My whiskey rust voice will whisper you into the same dinky dysphoria, and you'll see it, the dregs of nastiness seeping out of you and me. Staring into the oval reflection above the porcelain sink, glinting barber scissors heavy and cool in my hand. I dig the curved tip just a quarter inch into my right temple. Start the snip snip, a jagged line forming along the perimeter. I ignore the base of blood beating through my ears, shake my fingers from the scissors grip, and firmly take hold of the edges of my electrifying cheeks. A firm yank until one sticky wet rip of fire, and my arms are held before me like wooden rulers, red splotched hands presenting the flap of skin. The empty whiteness of the room corrupted by mirrored body still for moments and a moment more. Placing the lump of yellowed skin by the bar of lavender soap, I look up and lurch backwards, the end of my spine impaled by the door handle. I gasp in the stench of copper, cold and fresh. A forgotten peach left on the counter, brown scabs ripping apart to reveal the fleshy yellow, replaced by mulberry goo and mealy brown worm squirming. The inkling that something is wrong, as your fingers press into my wrist, imprinting a mauve reminder to remember who you can be when you're not you. Have you seen what happens when a body is so filled with drugs and toxins that the face becomes a wine with swollen violet lips? Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Okay, I'm gonna unmute everybody, and that way we can get all the collective cheering for the last few poets. 3, 2, 1, go, everybody, go. Thank you, honey. That was incredible. Wow. Let's see here. So I've just muted her. I'm gonna unmute Honey one more time. Honey, where are you from? Where did you? How'd you find us? I just muted you. I keep doing it. I'm a horrible person. Okay. I'm not going to touch it ever again. There we go. You're unmuted.
I'm originally from Korea, but I mostly grew up in San Jose. Okay. I'm actually a high school teacher in San Jose.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. And how is distance learning treating you?
It's hard. It's definitely not as great to connect with the students, but it's still going well. Yeah. I think it's pretty good so far.
Yeah. That is well. Your words were so. Each line was so dense with thought and imagery, and I was I mean I really need to hear it again. You know, I really need it. I need to see it. I need to process it. There was so much in such a small package. Is clear that you love words. So thank you for sharing them with us tonight. It really means a lot. I appreciate you being here tonight. All right. So next up, Zara is on deck. But coming up right now, we're going to hear a couple of poems from my dear, dear friend, Amanda Borges, all the way from East San Jose, folks. Give it up for Amanda.
Awesome. Okay, the first one is about my brother, and I just realized I have a picture of him right here, so I'm gonna grab it. That's him. Wasn't he hot? Playing his double neck guitar. This first part is not part of the poem, but it just gives some background about him. About seven years ago, before I ever stepped in front of a microphone at Live Lit in downtown San Jose, I wrote my brother's eulogy. I knew I wanted it to sound beautiful because I wanted to artistically honor my very musical sibling. Paul Borges was a Bay Area rock star, and his band Divided was known for their extremely unique style of progressive rock music that was intricately melodic, layered, and complex. Between the bass-slapping Nelson Candido, bongo-jumping Gabe Osorio, rhythmic percussionist Paul Avila, dichotomous singer and lyricist Ryan Reynoso, and the double-neck guitar tapping of my brother Paul, Divided grew to influence not only their expansive audience, but other impressive bands they performed with. Because Paul was all about songwriting, I tried my best to make his eulogy creative and enlightening, so as to truly express the musical genius my brother was. I didn't know that the result of my efforts was actually the first real poem I ever wrote. Dear Paul, I like to think that life is no good without passion, and passion is no good unless you immerse yourself into it wholeheartedly. If there was anyone to show me how to lead a life of fervent passion, it was you. Not a day went by that you didn't pick up your guitar or blast the radio in your car. Your CDs were uncountable, and I could never park my car just right in the garage because your equipment was always in the way. God only knows how I or anyone in our neighborhood could pass classes in school when you were practicing with your band in the garage while I was trying to study. Now that I look back, this was all for good reason. Music was your love, music was your life. I like to think that even your heartbeat probably had its own rhythm. It started at a young age. You began with an appreciation of the music of others as you let their music penetrate your ears, reverberate through your chest, and quickly fill your heart. I know that from that moment on, you were never the same. The thing I love so much about you is that it wasn't enough to simply listen to and appreciate the songs of others. You wanted to be a creator, an inventor, a designer of music. Musicians of the past blessed you with the gift of their songs, and you sought to do the same for others. And so you began your journey as a musician. I remember how music truly projected from every part of your body. While your mind was busy writing poetic lyrics, your fingers were fast at work picking and strumming your guitar strings. While your toes were tapping on the floor making beats, your knuckles were knocking against a table making melodies. When you performed, your shoulder the sound of your song, and somehow you practically never missed a note or forgot to belt out a harmony. Music seemed to be the breath of your life. I'm happy to say that through your journey, you fulfilled your goal. That blessed gift of music given to you by past musicians, you successfully paid forward unto countless others. As creating music lit up your life, your songs lit up the lives of others, including mine. Your inventive instrumentals inspired me. The creativity of your riffs roused me. Your imaginative solos put a smile on my face. The ingenuity of your hooks made me realize not only what music could be, but all that music should be. May your creative genius and legacy always live on through the songs you leave behind and through me and my own passion. I pray that you stay by my side and that your spirit always stay alive through the beats of my heart, the tempo of my pulse, the tones of my voice, and the rhythm in my steps. Paul, you are the happy song I love to have stuck in my head. I will take on the short-lived passion you leave behind as my own and make sure that it is never forgotten. Rest now, dear brother, and leave the rocking to me. On a lighter note, oh God. This might sound narcissistic, just let it happen, okay? 'Twas a few years ago that I had this very thought, that my fate in love rested on the panties I bought. As of now, I'm not happy, I only feel sad. Therefore, I dare say that I definitely won't add to what is already sitting on my shelf, because I think I might have jinxed myself. Therefore, I don't dare to buy one more pair of very, very sexy underwear. Maybe it's not a jinx, maybe it's a curse, but I don't want to make my love life any worse. It's the same old story, an identical plot. I'll think I have love, and then I do not. Chapter 1, I feel joy. Chapter 3, I feel lonely. Because Chapter 2 is where I buy myself some new chonies. Chapter 2, I'm excited, I'm eager to please. I want to wear what I think will bring him to his knees. Now I'm as flat as a pancake, and I tend to look a mess. But my tush is quite juicy, it is sure to impress. It is round and it's plump, yes, my butt is quite healthy. And dressed up in some lace, it looks great in a selfie. Now I know what you're thinking. She's so thin, that's not feasible. But what can I say? God made my ass squeezable. So I run to the mall, I look here, I look there, till I find just the right pair of sexy underwear. There are all kinds of styles, if you name it, I've got them. From all sorts of boy shorts to classic bikini bottoms. I tended to think, what on earth could go wrong? While sporting a new team, who wouldn't get freaky after seeing me in my new cheeky ass cheekies? I've got all colors, all patterns, a pair for any win-win situation. We have fun for a while, a few months, a couple years, but it ends and I'm left in a puddle of tears. Sometimes I know why, sometimes I have no clue, so I blame it on my panties. What else can I do? It's your fault, damn it. I know it. You jinxed me. I kept you clean and so fresh, but my love life is stinky. I should have trusted my gut, and my jinx is very real. It's not just a superstition. If I want to get a man and not cause myself doom, I have to dress my ass simply in some Fruit of the Loom. And if it's not a jinx, but instead it is a curse, I think I found a way to make it reverse. Instead of worrying about panties or being loved or rejected, I'll wear ugly undies that look bad and dejected. The other day I had on my most hideous pair, and at the market I saw the cutest guy there. He was checking me out. We even started a chat. I've broken the curse, see? How do you like that? I've got the formula solved. This is real. It's no phony. If you want to get a man, just rock those parachute chonies. I no longer fret about what looks cute on my fanny, and I'm comfy all day because I'm wearing... I once thought all love was slippery, and I couldn't manage to keep it. So my advice to y'all is, don't trust Victoria's Secret. There you go.
Applause on that one. I'm unmuting everyone. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
Amanda! Love that poem. Hey, Amanda!
Now you know all about my underwear. So there you go.
We are all grateful for your panties. I mean, with all the I think with all the sheer amount of underwear that you spoke about, it sounds like you need a shanty. Very impressive. Thank you for both poems. It was you honor people well, and underwear as well. Okay.
A fraction of a second to cool, then strain the leftover matter from the antimatter, regulating gravity. Adjust the frequency setting until you find a stable quantum of electromagnetic action. Settings may vary from universe to universe. After stabilizing the cosmological substratum, calibrate the energy distribution matrix to E equals mc squared and set the subatomic particles aside for approximately 500 million years, allowing the mixture enough time to congeal into stars and galaxies. Once the first batch of stars begins to go supernova, stir in the remaining elements and let the universe simmer for an additional 10 billion years, occasionally checking for signs of life. Remember, in order to destroy your enemies, you must first create them. When programming rudimentary biological algorithms, it's important not to confuse DNA codes with RNA codes. Also, during the early phase of biosphere construction, be sure not to mistake the greenish-blue algae button for the bluish-green mold button, or the violet wire for the ultraviolet wire. Try not to get your wires crossed in general. The initial development of life requires infernal conditions. You were born from seas of magma and rivers of hellfire, cataclysmic earthquakes, poisonous sulfuric clouds, hellish volcanic steeples overflowing with lava under a fiery bombardment of asteroids. Once the earliest multicellular life forms take shape, soak the biosphere in primal fear for 2 to 3 billion years. Evolution may vary from biosphere to biosphere. At the first sign of civilization, pour in a liberal dose of greed and sprinkle with shame. Wait approximately 10,000 years for modernity to occur. Then massacre 11 million Native American Indians. Exterminate 6 million Jews. Execute 2 million Cambodians. Butcher 1 million Armenians. Slaughter 800,000 Rwandans. Eradicate 700,000 Australian Aborigines. And drop 2 atomic bombs that wipe out 200,000 Japanese civilians. Intentionally starve 15 million Hindus, 3 million North Koreans, and 1 million Tibetans. Enslave 3 million Africans in the name of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, knowing full well that all men are created equal. Collect the blood and tears resulting from these atrocities and use the accursed liquid to marinate humanity's collective unconscious for 7 to 10 generations until irreparable psychogenetic damage occurs, transforming every thought, every utterance, and every perception into something monstrous, manufacturing a zombified world of radioactive oceans under X-ray skies, everything you touch contaminated with tiny invisible monsters. Increase the level of dishonesty to 1 billion lies per second and check frequently for mass extinction. Repeat the process 1 trillion times throughout the cosmos, gradually paring all matter and energy down to a single slim wire strung across infinity, a hyperdimensional tripwire. Now try your best not to trip over it again. Thanks.
Wow. Thank you, Jay. I really appreciate that. Do you go by Jay? Is that what people usually call you?
People call me Jay. Yep.
Okay.
Jay.
And what a perfect last name for what we're going through right now outside, right?
Yes.
Seriously. Yeah. Where are you based, Jay?
So I'm from an art colony in a kooky little place called Santa Ana. So,
oh yeah. Yeah. You got them winds down there.
Yeah, we got the Santa Ana winds. Oh yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, and I'm so glad that you joined us tonight. That was you used the word modernity, and I don't hear it very often, and it always I don't know why I always perk up. I'm like, I love the word modernity, but I'm tired of the concept. You know?
Yeah,
So,
we've had too much modernity. Can we slow it down a little?
A little bit, you know, like I'm thinking about buying a new computer, and I already have 3 others that I don't do enough with anyway. So, you know, like what the hell's wrong with me? So, but that was incredible, and I appreciate it. Now my cat is tapping me like she wants something. Another round of applause for Jay. Thank you so much, Jay. That was wonderful. On deck we have, also, if anyone tried to click the link that I posted a little while ago, I just reposted it because I had the link wrong. It was incorrect. So forgive me for that. But coming up right now on deck is Kevin Sparks, a dear friend of mine, but a new friend of mine. Please give a round of applause to Damon Mahoney. Hello, Damon. How are you, bud?
Hello, I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. It's just amazing to hear everyone's stories. So wonderful. Thank you. So during COVID, I did a little project. I wrote 49 poems in 49 days, and this is the book. And it's going to be available soon. And each week had a different theme. So the poem I'm reading tonight is from the week of seasoning and spice, because we cook a lot in this house. And it is called Sumac on Saturday. A pointed pile of fine powder, red like old memories, wounds that never heal, blood long dried, red like tarnished steel. Poison or perfume, the pale of a soft, supple hide, something nice to run my hand through, heating, smoking, sifting, stirring, a dish untried. Walking through tight, narrow streets boxed in by rough, high, wind-blasted, centuries-old walls. I carry you with me, little treasure, not in my breast, but on my hip, sheathed like a dagger. Your voice cuts through like the jinn that sing in the wind overhead. Esawira, they whisper in my ear, tickling my face with their spiced tongues. Words and laughter become smoke in my mouth, ashes of thoughts, dreams caught up in a gust. Whims and fancies turn to powder, past desires put out to rust. An empty part of a city beckons, left like an abandoned conical shell. Deserted, bright walkways turned to spoil, ravaged and rough and gone to hell. When blandness becomes a taste in my mouth, bitterness an expression I wear, fearfulness a fine leather jacket, I'll sprinkle you on to remind me to care. When the jinns cease to whisper magic words going quiet in my head, I'll take a handful of that deep, dark, impassive, long-dried red, paint it on my pensive lips, rub it across my tired tongue, blow the remnants from my hand, cast the spell too long unsung, return.
That was beautiful, Damon.
Thank you.
Damon, are you in the Bay Area?
Yes, I'm in Marin. I'm from LA originally. I moved up here when I got my first job as a professional dancer with Oakland Ballet. And
Whoa.
I danced for them in San Francisco Opera, and I've retired several years ago, hung up my tights, and I picked up my pen.
That's great. That's a good order of things too. You know, I think like had you been a writer, you might not have fit into tights in your 50s or 60s. You know
Exactly,
what I mean?
Exactly.
There's an older poet who is a regular of my poetry events named Ike Waltz. His last name is Waltz. He's German. When he was 18, back in the late 50s, he decided he was going to become a ballet dancer, and started doing ballet at 18 and ended up dancing for 10 years at like all the the biggest European ballet. And then he stopped. After 10 years, like almost exactly 10 years, he stopped and started sculpting. So
I was 16 when I started, and I was 32 when I retired. So
well,
it's a short window, but it was
sure.
a great window. It was really fun.
No kidding. Well, it's a pleasure to officially meet you. Thank you for sharing your work. And please put a link to your book in the chat.
Definitely. Thank you, guys.
Indeed. Indeed. Okay, next up, folks, we're almost done with the list. We're actually getting pretty close to the end of the evening here. Anne Bui is on deck. But coming up right now is a dear friend of mine, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it, one of my favorite spoken word artists of all time. Probably in my top 10 easily, for his nature, and his ability to bring you into the moment. So I hope you all listen very closely to my dear friend Kevin Sparks. Hi, Kevin.
Hi. Well, thank you. I do a lot of poems about family, and these two poems are about fathers and sons. I've done both of these before, but I've never done these two together. It's a little rough. They're a little rough for me, but we'll do these. The first one is called Blues for My Father's Passing. Papa, Papa, look at my shoes. Oh, Papa, Papa, please look at my shoes. But Papa's troubles take up the whole damn room. I've got the family don't know my name blues. Papa says you gotta look sharp. Papa says, look sharp, their eyes on you. The trouble means the eyes are only for Papa. I'm never sharp, just 40 years of blue. Some of us, we don't figure out our broken until middle age. And what do you do then? What do you do then from passing on the poison? Maybe you just be quiet and wait. I am brushing down my suit, Papa. Gonna look sharp once you are gone. I'm putting on my cufflinks, Papa. Gonna look sharp once you are gone. What about a tie? Hey, what about a tie, Papa? Reminds me I'm a man. Gonna wear it loud, gonna wear it proud, gonna let it swing around, Papa. What did you ever teach me about being a man? All your life led along by lust. All your offspring, just offspring of your desire. I will straighten out my tie. Straighten out my tie, Papa. Gonna look sharp once you are gone. I used to make allowance for you, Papa. Thought that fathering was some kind of hard task, till I took up that task too. Found it easy to teach a child, simple thing to love your own. All you have to do is to outside yourself from yourself. I don't make allowance for you, Papa. Don't make allowance no more. I'm shining up my shoes, shining up my black shoes, Papa. You told me to sit and be less. I have gone places and lived more. I am shining up my worn black shoes, Papa. Gonna look sharp once you are gone. Getting ready for your funeral. Getting ready for your funeral, Papa. When I visit you at the rest house, you sit and talk about yourself like I'm not even in the room. Same as it's been for the last 30 years. Like I'm not even in the room. You haven't said my name for 30 years. Getting ready for your funeral, Papa. I'm brushing down my suit. Brushing down my suit, Papa. Finally, look sharp now that you are gone. So now I'll do my chess piece poem, which is actually kind of my signature poem. My son found carved wooden memories, the old chess set my father used to teach me lessons. He dumped them out in a crowd mixed together like a peace march. My boy was thinking Dungeons and Dragons. But I was taught black on this side, white on the other, every piece in its place, and each with a move that, damn it, boy, never changes. And I recall my father's marionette strings, the cockroach taste of constant defeat. Back when I first saw the game of chess, I liked how the waiting faces never twisted in anger. They never shouted. I liked how I choreographed the moves. I'd set up the board and I'd pretend that my father told me stories about those pieces. Little slow step pawns, children, knights, 2 generations and once removed, relatives, those straight line movers, school teacher rooks, the queen, my mother, trapped behind the line of pawns. When she burst forth, the board cleared. The king, most valuable piece, but mysteriously weak. Work was my father's life, but to me it was his back. I only saw his face across the board, eyes turned away to hide his next move. I wanted to ask him, teach me about life, but this was my lesson in human relations. Gambit, fork, pin, friendly faces removed from the board, check, checkmate. Looks like you've lost. I always lost. You have to lose to learn how to play, he'd say. But that's a father's kick to get a son across some secret line of manhood. Dad, you wouldn't teach me to move through this world's squares, so I taught myself. The teenage day came when I took your pieces. I pushed you back to your castle. I was about to speak my first check when business called and you walked away. I stared at a free board and couldn't win. We never played again. So this is what I learned, that a father who only cares about winning teaches his son to be a loser. So when I taught my son to play, I removed 4 pieces from the board to make sure he would win. Those pieces came back over the years as they learned how people's lives moved together. The first to return was his mother, the queen. Without her, I am helpless. I let him know that. Then knights, relatives who slew dragons of fears. Those rooks with their lessons, they taught him rules. Take smarts to use them and wisdom to let them be. Finally, the pawn, the child that he's outgrown. He comes home from college now and beats me at the game, shakes his head and says, what do we have to do so you can win? Telephone rings, but I stay, smile, look my son in the eyes and think, you've learned how to live. I have already won.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have made Mike go silent.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just at a bit of a loss for words. So I'm just going to take a moment and just look at Kevin and be grateful that he's here with us and that we get to experience his life and his words live. I mean, as live as we can be right now, right? But it is happening. It is happening in this moment. We are happening in this moment. And
it's beautiful to be here.
It really is. Thank you, Kevin. All right. I don't like the idea of making someone go immediately following something that emotional. Sometimes it's just probably just not fair. But I will say this, that there is that poetry is alive right now, you know, and you are all keeping it alive by being here, by sharing, by listening to the words, by taking them in. What I'm so excited about is that I know for a fact that tonight this event, this evening, is going to generate that much more poetry, you know. So on deck is Unmesh, but now I would like to welcome and introduce you all to Anbui. Anbui, hello.
Hey everyone, my name is Anne Bui. Yeah, still feeling the tenderness of Kevin's poems and just all the incredible art that has been presented so far. I'm a queer Vietnamese poet and writer, born in Vietnam, raised in San Jose, excited to be at my first Poetry Center of San Jose event. So I have this poem for you all today called Shelter in Place Mandate. On March 17th, 2020, Santa Clara County issued a shelter-in-place mandate. I've been staying home ever since, and even before, temporarily employed since May, flirting with unemployment since March, and grieving with family since November. From a social distance, the world feels quiet but isn't silent. Hums of an airplane fly through hazy orange skies as California forests crackle through acres and acres, begging for indigenous stewardess and care, wondering why we don't care for her and the incarcerated who soothe her burns. Inside, screen lights stay on long before and after dark. News outlets and media tell us to slow the spread, but they only mean of the virus, not of police brutality and racism across the states, not of the evictions of those losing their homes, not of the transfers to ICE detention centers and deportations, nor of politicians' hidden agendas that put profit over people, or the amount of work and labor you must still produce. Even during a global pandemic, when the world is burning, people are dying, and places are closing, society makes sure to tell us that we are not worthy of care. But this is a lie. In our multi-generational homes in San Jose, we have no choice but to take care of each other, for we know what it's like to live in chaos and survive. Refugee resilience alive and flowing through our ancestry. COVID-19 could never ban this essential love, the healing of our past through câu chuyện từ hồi xưa, this building of our future in solidarity with our cộng đồng. We must learn to mend the gaps between tiếng Việt, Espanol, and English. We can't keep this distance of 6 feet apart from other communities. Can't preach what we won't even try to practice in our own homes and city, because liberation cannot exist just in theory. The world is on fire. We can't pretend that we don't see the smoke. Our loved ones have passed into ancestors. They can never come back. So let's not wait for quarantine to be lifted for us to connect, because we are all that we have left. And this cannot be all that we leave for those after us.
I think, you need to hear this. You need to hear this from everybody.
Thank you.
I feel like with all that energy that you gave us, and I feel like it's only fair to give some of that back to you, to fuel you. You know, that was really wonderful. And I mean, easily one of the most timely poems for this region of the world and this time. So thank you very, very much. I'm so glad you joined us tonight.
Yay, thank you all for having me.
Indeed. Rounding out the list, we have Maggie Diamond is on deck, which I'm very excited about. And I'm really excited to meet our next poet, Unmesh, everyone. Unmesh, are you ready? Unmesh Mojgani.
Yes, Mike.
Am I saying that right?
You are perfect. You are getting Indianized.
Whoa. I don't know about perfect, but I am, I think it's actually pronounced pear-shaped is what it is the correct terminology. The time is yours. Go for it, Unmesh.
Great. Thanks everyone for giving me this opportunity, and thanks LKN especially for introducing me to this. And my next poem is called What Will People Say? Who are they? Who are they? What are they? What are they? What they want? What they want? Stop their rant. Why they chant? Stop their rant. Why they chant? Respect scant. Stop, I say. They go on and on. Stop, I say. They go on and on. Leave me, free me, release me. Leave me, free me, release me. from their clutches. Me, filled with glitches. Demons in mind, nothing but is fine. Demons in mind, nothing but is fine. They refuse to bend and wind. My smile, still so kind. Why they control? Why they control? Why they punish? Why are they powerful? Why are they beautiful? Am I nothing? Am I nothing? Am I fading? Am I fading? Refuse to slack. I will be black. Refuse to slack. I will be back. Mark my words. Mark my words. Note the time. I will be fine. History will remind. I will be fine. History will remind. So that was one short poem. Can I take one more? If the time permits.
Yes, Unmesh. As long as it's short.
Yeah, it's very short. So it's from my new book, which called Light Shadow Life. It's a Be a Man. They said, be a man. They said, be a man. Don't cry like a baby. Don't cry like a baby. Be brave. Hide your emotions. I was broken and shaken. I was broken and shaken. Emotions shackled and chained. Sobbing and crying like an unexploded bomb. Never be ashamed of your tears. Never be ashamed of your tears. Express to face your fears. Live and let live like a human. Forgive and forget the misguided man. Embrace the human who is crying and broken. Embrace the human who is crying and broken. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. I'm unmuting everyone so they can give you some love, Unmesh. That was wonderful. So let me mute everyone one more time, but then I'm going to unmute you one more time, Unmesh. Let's see. I have to find you now. There you are. Unmute. Unmesh, it looks like daylight where you are. Where are you joining us from?
I'm from Pune, which is 150 kilometers from Mumbai.
Right.
From India.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think isn't Pune, isn't that a sister city of San Jose? I believe it is.
I think so. I need to check. I need to check once again. Yeah.
I believe Pune and San Jose are sister cities.
Wow.
So it's really wonderful that you're joining us right now because we are, we're supposed to be together. So what time is it there now?
It is 9:36 a.m.
9:36 a.m. Okay.
Yeah.
That is wonderful that you're joining us from such a distance. But isn't that something though that if this were a live event, you would not be here with us tonight. And so I think while it's hard for us to all be at home, I don't know what it's like in Pune right now, but I think that it's such a neat thing that we get an opportunity to share worldly words, So Unmesh, it's really a real pleasure to meet you. And I hope that you'll join us for future events as well, especially considering that the timing works pretty well for you. It'll never be too late for a San Jose event for you.
Thanks, Mike.
Maybe a little too early on some days, but
no, it's fine.
Thank you so much, Unmesh. Another round of silent applause for Unmesh. Thank you. Lovely, lovely. Yes, don't be afraid of your tears, folks. I love crying. I do. As a matter of fact, I remember as a kid getting a book. It was about an owl who needed to make tea and was making tear water tea. And I think that was the name of the book, Tear Water Tea. And so the whole book is the owl thinking of sad things to cry about, and while collecting his tears in a little pot to then heat it up and make tea out of his tears. And I just thought there was such like my whole life, because of that book, I've always thought like crying is beneficial. Crying is good for you. Like it's a good thing. That is vitamin T, you know? So it was always strange to me to hear anyone say, you know, like, you stop crying, you know, or I'll give you something to cry about. It's like, okay, that makes no sense. You don't want me to cry, so you're going to threaten to make me cry. Okay, cool. Dave Eisbach, you are on deck. But coming up right now, oh, what a cool lady. Oh my gosh, folks, please put your hands together for Maggie Diamond.
Thank you. What a wonderful evening. I'm so glad I did not miss this. And so much poetry in the sky this week. But that's all still working its way into something. So I figured I'd go with another fire themed poem, which actually will be in the upcoming Poetry Center San Jose's Caesura journal. So this is Embers. 1. Adolescent fascination with fire. Secret notes turn to ash in glass bowls. Curious, watching the smoke unfurl. Hot crackling with the first inhale. Lungs fill with defiance. Slowly release seductive plumes. Sitting out class in the locker room shower, can of Aquanet and a lighter. We weren't bad girls. We were just girls. Still wondering which parts of us will burn away, what will cycle with celestial movements or bury among our tangled roots, palm and flame in a delicate dance. How close? Too close? Recoil from the sting. There's the answer. We weren't bad girls. We were just girls. Curious, watching the smoke unfurl. 2. A spark, drifting in from who knows where, ignites dry foliage. Fanned by hot autumn winds, the inferno overtakes the landscape, reaches me unprepared. Slight panic, save what's most important. For God's sake, don't add fuel to it. My inner teenager wants to watch it burn, feel the heat surround her body, marvel at the power and beauty. Lessons learned from conflagrations past. They weren't bad choices. They were just choices. But the stakes grow higher with the flames. The blaze contained for now. Embers wait to be doused by winter rain or rekindled by a passing breeze.
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you. Always delightful, always wonderful. You really are a gift to this community, truly.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. Whew. All right. Moving along. Resurrection Mary, you are on deck. But coming up, please welcome with, you know what, I'm going to unmute everyone so that we can just go ahead and cheer for him now, and then we'll cheer for him again later. The founder of the San José Poetry Festival. Please give a warm round of applause to Dave Eisbach. Oh, I just muted everyone. There we go. There it is. Dave!
Founder of the festival.
Thank you, Dave. There we go.
How's that?
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
I was just saying that I loved your opening poem about the praise and the elegy for the Santa Clara Valley. And so I feel a little embarrassed because the last couple of days here in San Jose have been rather dismal. I haven't seen the sun or anything in a couple of days, and it engendered a poem. And the poem is called Question. Dawn's orange overtakes the day, obscuring clouds and sun, because of muggings by two thugs, an indifferent marine layer, and pitiless wildfire fallout. An unsettling question rises like a silent elevator fart. Is this how the end will look? That's it, very short.
I'm unmuting everybody so we can laugh and
Yeah,
clap.
David.
Silent elevator fart. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of how it is, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for the poem, for the festival, and for your presence. I appreciate it. All right, remuting everyone, and moving along. On deck is Brian Ira Franco, but please welcome Resurrection Mary, everyone. Are you ready, Resurrection Mary, aka yes?
So to say my name now. I've got my website out. I just thought I'd put that out. I write under that name.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. All the mic is yours.
In this time of renewed exorcist, dusty Bibles, find my first love. There's no babies left inside of me. The stars are mine. Silent rapture ruptures. Isn't it, or will it thou be mine, like a spirit in the wind, gone? Ghosts don't break, and I am fragile. Oh, I am that. Running into the midnight sun, showering with deities, groaning, begging for forgiveness. Listen to the leaves turning. Oh my gosh, yellow, green. Return to me, my first love, heavenly octane. All the world's atrocities, latent dreams, broken down cities, my cross, where my resurgent indecencies. I see you wilding in the night. I will pray for you, that's all. Daily bread. Still, I want you without dance or hurt or damage to my soul. Oh, my broken city, my cross. Predators gnawing, imploring their obligation, sad remonstrations. I see myself looking out of the box. Save me from the suicide's prayer. Practice your evil day, my cross, this broken down city, in a moment of leaves turning brown, floating away, in a world of atrocities, a time laden with losing everything, no heaven or octane. My broken down city, I want to wash your dark out of me. Oh, do I regret my regret and all my candy-coated ills that keep me awake at night? Through my fault, through my most grievous fault, leaves turn to brown as I no longer fight.
Thank you, Resurrection Mary. I see you. I really, I have to say that just in the last few months, listening to all of your work, I really appreciate it. I greatly appreciate it, and I feel as though I don't know how new that piece was, but it really struck a chord with me, and I appreciate it very much.
Ago.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Just wrote it 2 weeks ago, so it's
Yeah.
it's new. I try to stay current.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, RM. All right, let's see. We're getting down to the wire here, folks. On deck and last will be Larry T. Hollist. But coming up, second to last, but not least, please welcome Brian Ira Franco. Hello, Brian.
Shalom, everyone. Yes, ask me what time it is.
What time is it?
It is now 12:18 in Maine.
In Maine. Woohoo!
Yes.
You are.
I should have been given a list allotment for being 3 hours later, but I didn't ask. So.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Had I known, I definitely would have put you up a little earlier. My apologies.
I didn't feel like it was my place to ask. So I'm going to. She did a new poem. I'm going to do a really old poem from 1994. It's called "Nobody Knows Nothing Anyway." Some people claim they know all the facts. Some people claim God gave them the axe. Some people claim they know the world like the backs of their hands. Some people just bury their heads in the sand. Some people claim they know all the answers but never give answers away. Nobody knows nothing anyway. Some people won't kiss unless they can kiss and tell. Some people worry they'll end up in hell. Some people got pushed off cliffs and some fell. Some people spent many a night in seedy motels. Some people don't like their lives, so they sell their souls away. Nobody knows nothing anyway. Some people live, sleep, and eat in the streets. Some people do whatever they please. Some people eat lobster and beluga caviar. Some people just ride round in their Mercedes-Benz cars. Some people serve other people food from sterling silver trays. Nobody knows nothing anyway. Some people always wanted to be class clown. Some people lost desire to clown around. Through Jesus, Elvis, or Buddha, some people get found. Some people scream loudest without making a sound. Some people run round and round in circles every single day. Nobody knows nothing anyway. Some people live life for yesterday. Some people live life all work and no play. Some people live life like tomorrow is the end. Some people live life in a world of pretend. Some people like life the way it is, or so they say. Nobody knows nothing anyway. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. I'm gonna turn everyone on so you can hear them all clapping for you. Thank you so much, Brian.
Awesome.
All the way from Maine. How is New England doing?
It's fine. It was a little warmer today than it's been. It's been cooling down, but we're still getting a few warm nights, and so I closed the windows in my bedroom, and I had to reopen it. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. I lived in Worcester, Massachusetts for a brief spell. Don't ask me why. It was a mistake.
That's a good poetry town, though.
It is. It's an incredible poetry town. And I started a series of poetry events there called Kitchen Sessions, and then I brought them back to the West Coast with me, where people cram in my kitchen and we eat food. We feed each other with food and poems. So.
Oh, that's funny. Somebody when one of our readings lost its venue, this was way back somewhere in the early 2000s. They did that. They took it to their apartment. One of the leaders took it to their apartment and called it the kitchen.
Yeah.
They must have something.
I don't think it was an incredibly original idea of mine. But
it was probably they had no money.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's cool. It's great.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Brian. It's a pleasure to meet you. I look forward to hearing from you again.
Gracias.
Indeed. All right. Now let's mute all here, and we will go forward to our very last poet. But when I say last poet, I mean like this gentleman is one of the biggest supporters of the San Jose poetry scene. You always catch him at an event. You will always find him buying books from poets at the end of a show. He's always happy. He's always happy to support the scene, and it means a lot to me. When he's in the room, I know that poetry is going to keep going on. You know, folks, please give a huge silent visual round of applause for Larry T. Hollist. Hi, Larry.
Thank you, Mike.
Oh gosh,
Hi, Mike.
Of course.
Yeah. I got a poem for you. It's on the lighter side after last night's and Kevin's poem. I need to do a lighter one. Although it talks about my dad, but it's not really about my dad. One thing you might have to work a little bit for this poem to get full meaning. Every time I say a sweet, whether it's a piece of candy or a dessert or a sweet drink, keep in your mind that first letter of that, and then you'll get the full meaning of the poem. The genesis of this poem was a Mike McGee Facebook post, which said, "I fucking love you." And so the name of this poem is My Dad, the Sweet Talker. My dad will often say to my mom, "I fudge, Ultramints, candy corn, Kit Kat, icebreaker, nougat, good and plenty's love you." About the politician he does not like, he would say, "He or she is full of sugar, honey, ice cream, and tapioca pudding." About the neighbor who gets on his nerves, he's a real apple pie, sherbet, snickerdoodle, hot chocolate, Oreo, Laffy Taffy Claire. When someone cuts him off the road, he says, "What a donut, icing, caramel, key lime pie." Referring to the 45th president, he goes, "He truly is a whatchamacallit, almond joy, nutter butter, Kinder egg, everlasting Godstopper, raisinette. And he's an airhead, roller, Snickers, eye popper." My dad refers to the year 2020, the COVID year. He just says, "Samuel L. Jackson snakes on a plane. I certainly picked the wrong year to give up swearing."
Hey, Larry. Larry, I lasagna, Oreo, vitamins, elephant you.
Eggnog.
All right. Sure, I'll use eggnog. Why the heck not? That was fantastic. You know what? I'm going to leave this unmuted because I trust everyone in here enough to be on their best behavior and not have a conversation while they're unmuted. And the reason I want to do that is because the show is now coming to a close. I would like to very quickly read off the original. What was the thing that I wanted to read off the thank yous? First, I want to thank Rob Pesich for making Poetry Center San Jose the force that it is over the last several years. I also want to thank Bill Cazzini for keeping the numbers legit and alive and keeping us rolling financially as treasurer. And I want to thank Julia Canavezzi for all the promotional work she has done to make this festival the success it has been so far. And we're selling tickets. Tickets are flying out the door digitally, and that is a lot of that is in thanks to Julia Canavezzi's work and her just sheer love of the San Jose arts community. I love her love for it. I want to thank Dave Eisbach one more time for bringing us the San Jose Poetry Festival and for being a supporter of poetry for at least a few months now. It seems, at least, right? So thank you, Dave. You are a treasure to this community. I would also like to point out that the San Jose Poetry Festival 2020 is presented by Poetry Center San Jose, of which I am the secretary of the board of directors. And so if you got a problem with PCSJ, you got a problem with me. The Poetry Center San Jose is sponsored in part by Festival and Cultural Affairs grants from the City of San Jose, a grant from SV Creates in partnership with the County of Santa Clara and the California Arts Council, funding from Poets and Writers, and with support from Ann and Mark's Art Party and the Center for Literary Arts. We would like to acknowledge and offer our deepest gratitude to our originally booked live venues for this festival: the Art Boutique, Books Inc., Caravan Lounge, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Library, Forager, History San Jose, Recycle Bookstore, and Works San Jose Art and Performance Center. And to our membership who have helped make this event possible. You've all been this night has been really, really, really wonderful. If you want more information about anything we're doing, please go to pcsj.org. That is your one-stop shop for just about everything Poetry Center San Jose. Also, I love you all for being a part of this night and these nights this week. There is a survey, and if you get a chance to fill it out, please do. Because we'd like to know what you think of all the events that are taking place. My goal was for us to be done with this event by 9:30 Pacific time, that is. My apologies, Brian. But it is now 9:30 on the dot, and I think this would be a great time for us to say goodnight, and that we will see you, as many of you as we can, tomorrow, with Juan Felipe Herrera, Arlene Biala, and Janice Lobo Sapigao. Please have a wonderful evening, and thank you for your poetry. Thank you for your work. We will all see you all hopefully very, very soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks
Good
so
night.
much.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.